Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our solutions webinar session. My name is Fernando and I come with the Region 9 Head Start Association, and I will be your webinar host today. So feel free to contact me via the chat option of Zoom with any logistical questions you may have regarding any audio, video, or overall connection issues you may experience today. This webinar session will be recorded and made available for on-demand consumption after today. You may find this recording up on our website at www.region9hsa.org. And the recording will typically be available about 48 hours after this session today. We encourage your participation, so throughout the session, there will be an opportunity for you to participate in various poll questions to send us your feedback. So we encourage you to take some time and participate. Also, feel free to send us your questions or any additional comments you may have via the Q&A option of Zoom. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our topic for today, which is overcoming your in-kind challenges. And our facilitator today is Jasmine Taylor from Kindly. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. I'm super excited to be here today. Today's topic is overcoming your in-kind challenges, but we want to start by getting to know who's in the room. Kindly, and the software was developed out of a need to connect some dots and some people around the goal of family engagement and serving our children better. So we want to get to know who's in the room, who's partnered with us in that initiative. So we're going to start with a couple of poll questions. The first is, how are you today? So you've got a few options. Would love to hear and see, how is everybody doing today? Are you rainbows? Are you sunny and bright? Clear skies? Overcast? Or is this just stormy in your world right now? And so, how are you doing? So we see some folks are voting. I'm rainbows. I'm super excited to be with you all today and to share all the things that we've been able to create with Kindly and with our new initiative here at Sunrise Children's Foundation through this new system. So I am definitely rainbows. I'm looking forward to our talk today. Okay. All right, so we got some stormy folks. We got a few other rainbows, some sunny and bright, some clear skies. Stormy, I hope stormy is the weather where you guys are and not how you're feeling. But if that's how you're feeling, I'm hoping that by the end of this, you will be rainbows and just as excited as I am. Our next poll is, where are you joining us from? So we know this is Region 9. Most of you are probably from Region 9. If you happen to be from somewhere else, you can type that in a message in the Q&A. I'm coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada today. Where are you from? Where is your program located? So my where are you from and where my program is located are two different answers. I'm from Los Angeles, California, originally born and raised. And I'm joining you today from Las Vegas, Nevada, which is where I currently reside and work at the Sunrise Children's Foundation. So let's see, where's everybody logging in from today?
Jasmine, just to let you know, we did receive some messages through the Q&A. So we have folks joining us from Utah, Alabama, and Abington.
All right, how exciting. That is great. I love that we can do this utilizing technology. We just decided on a travel ban here at our agency today, just due to the coronavirus, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are deciding on. So it's nice to be virtual And so we got a 66% from California. We've got a couple folks from Nevada, 22% from Arizona, no Hawaii, and then some others. Wonderful. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. And then our last check-in question is, how are you listening today, with your team, or are you flying solo? Who's with you at the table today? So on my end, it's just me for today, but hopefully you'll get an opportunity to meet and work with our team if you decide that Kindly is a software that could be an effective tool for your agency. Looks like we got a couple folks still voting. Okay, so 43% are in a small group and half the group is flying solo, so a little bit of half and half. Well, I just shared with you what it looks like in this room. For me, I'm talking to the camera here all by my lonesome. My name is Jasmine Taylor. I am the founder of Kindly. I'm also the Assistant Executive Director at Sunrise Children's Foundation, which is how this journey actually ever even began. Non-federal share and reaching our in-kind goal is part of my job responsibility here at Sunrise in Las Vegas, where we have nearly 500 early Head Start slots. We have CCP partners, home-based, center-based, and we've been doing Head Start and early Head Start programming for about 11 years. About a year and a half ago, about a year ago now, I was tasked to really address some of our in-kind challenges. And so I did a boot camp with Martha Marmoleo, who came out to our agency for some TNTA. And then I also went to Wifley for a in-kind boot camp, which lasted over the weekend. I was in the room at Caesar's Palace with a couple thousand people, and we were all faced with some sort of challenge with our in-kind. And so we were hoping to gain a lot from that boot camp. The fortunate news is I gained an amazing vision as I was leaving that weekend of what it needed to look like, what we needed to shore up, what some new strategies that we could use were, and that's how Kindly was born. About, let's say, 2 months or so after us using some of the manual systems that I put in place, working with my team. We have an Excel spreadsheet that has 57 spreadsheets that download all into one place because there was no software. We just had to figure out, how do we track all of these things in one place? And so we did that. We implemented that new system, and within a couple months, we had seen some pretty incredible results. At that time, I realized that this was not going to be a long-term solution. There were already some clear, visible challenges for the future in terms of how much manual operation it was taking us to monitor and track this data. So I reached out to a few software companies and started Kindly, which I did in partnership with my husband, to build a software to do what we were doing here at Sunrise manually. So I established Kindly last October and have been working with that team, the software development company that we have partnered with, to develop a software. So if you notice here, I'm in Las Vegas, but the team that the team that is now Kindly is in Arlington, Virginia, and then we've got a group of about 24 engineers in Jaipur, India, that really drive the software development and the tech support for Kindly. So we're very excited about what's happened in such a short amount of time, and I'm excited to share that with you throughout this presentation. Before we dive in, I want to just tell you what prompted me to make that type of investment in a software like Kindly was the type of results that we had generated at Sunrise. And so I'll start here. So we actually launched this initiative last September. And in September, you can see these are our locations. These are the goals for each of our sites. And then this is what they were able to generate in 1 month of starting to use Kindly, or starting to use our online system. Kindly didn't exist at that point yet. So at the end of September, we had generated 2,972 hours. By the end of October, as you can tell, there's a lot less empty spaces, and our centers were really on board. Our parents were really catching on, and we generated an additional 9,000 hours that month of October. November, 7,000 additional hours, and so now we're up to 20,000 hours. By December, we had reached 23,000 hours of in-kind. January, we were up to 30,000. February, we were up to 37,000. And so that ties out for a total of $653,000 in in-kind that we were able to generate since we started using this new system last September. The thing that was exciting to me, if we go back to this chart, was our agency had, as an annual target, the highest we had gotten from just our families was $236,000 in in-kind. By the end of October, this 12,000 hours represented $285,000. So we had generated more in 2 months of using this new system than we had in a year previously. I think there's some key reasons why that was able to take place. And so I'm going to share that with you as we go through this presentation today, and hope that whether or not you decide Kindly is an effective and efficient match and tool for your agency, that you can take some things away from what we were able to glean and learn throughout this process. Before I do, I want to just tell you a little bit about the mission, vision, and values of Kindly as a company. So our mission, of course, is to help agencies doing good work capture every act of kindness available to them through a system that aligns goals with communication and instantly notifies donors and staff of a job well done. So instant gratification, people know instantly that what they're doing matters on so many different levels. And then as an agency, you're able to track instantly where those donations are falling and how. We also believe that no act of kindness is, however small, is wasted. Oftentimes people won't give because they don't think it will matter. And having a system like Kindly, or having any kind of system that helps to track and monitor, empowers people to know that it really does make a difference. And we believe that people give more when they can give with ease and they know that their kindness matters. Finally, our vision is that agencies doing good work are able to leverage the resources of kindness available to them to create even greater returns for communities and people who need it most. And so if that is not the spirit of early Head Start and Head Start, I don't know what is. Encouraging family engagement and rallying the community around our children and our families, I think, is what we all show up to work to do every day. And so our vision is that we've just created a tool that helps you leverage that even more. Here is the system. So 4E's is really how we looked at how to get the best outcome for non-federal share, for our agency, and for our families. I say for our agency and our families because really the heart of in-kind is not about a dollar figure. It is about increasing family engagement and increasing school readiness outcomes for our children. So really leveraging the dollars that we're getting to create even more impact in the communities we serve. I think Ed Condon said it best during one of our presentations last month. He said, Kindly is much more than an accounting software, it's a movement. And that really is our hope. So no matter what challenge it is that you're facing or why you would need Kindly or not need Kindly, I think we can all agree that family engagement and having a tool to leverage and increase that would help us tremendously, no matter where we stand with our in-kind program. That being said, here's the formula. So we figured that if we could educate people, make it easy, and then explain to them along the way, that we would create engagement, impactful engagement like never before. And that's exactly what happened for Sunrise. So the educate piece, let's start there. We realized that when you say non-federal share to people, their eyes sort of gloss over a little bit. To staff, certainly to our families, that doesn't really register. And so we created a training program. We call it In-Kind 101. And we taught that, I wrote that training and we taught that to our staff during pre-service last summer. We educated them as to what in-kind is, why we need in-kind, who says we need in-kind, why would they say that? And we really wanted people to leave that room understanding what we're even asking for. But more so, we wanted to connect them to the heart of it, which really is, like I said earlier, increased outcomes, leveraging our funding for increased outcomes and family engagement and school readiness. That being said, we really are, I'm excited to say, the first software out there that has been created that brings all of those things into one place under one software roof, so that you have now a hub to connect staff with management, with families, all at the same time. And that makes the whole process easier, which leads me to point number 2, which is ease. So how do we make anything that requires sheets of paper to float through numerous hands easier is to get rid of the paper. So I immediately came back from Wifley last summer when I went to In-Kind Boot Camp, and I thought, how do we make this paperless? How do we get rid of the paper and create an instant tracking system? And so we did that using some forms on our website, and then we manually linked those forms to some spreadsheets. And then those spreadsheets we created in English and Spanish. That's why there's so many of them. And so we basically did manually what Kindly is going to do for you with much more ease and efficiency. And so I'm excited to share that with you when we get to the demo part. But we realized that making it easy was essential, not only for our staff, but also for our families. If it's easy for them and it's not something additional that they have to do on top of everything else, then it turned out that they were incredibly responsive. It also made it a lot easier for our staff who were managing all those pieces of paper. And they thought that was pretty incredible, and then they got on board. So the making it easy was a critical piece in how we get more out of all the people that are involved and not taxing them more at the same time. The explain part was critical, because what we realized was we were not doing the best job of keeping people abreast of our progress throughout the year. So we might say at the beginning of the year, here's our goal, but how did we as an agency or as a center or as a staff person keep everybody engaged with us throughout the year? And so explaining was a really big piece when we sat down to the table last summer to devise this new strategy. The first thing that came to our mind that challenged us was not wanting to communicate $1 million or multi-million-dollar goal to families. We knew that they would immediately check out and not embrace that, because, you know, who can get $1 million or $2 million in kind, or $7 million? It just depends on your budget size, but we knew that that wasn't the way to communicate it. So we came up with a system, and I'll click over here for just a second, on how to calculate that number into something we could communicate with much more ease and acceptance for our families. And so it took us out about a day in a strategic planning session to come up with this process. Now on Kindly, we can do it in a matter of seconds. So all you do is come on this site, which you'll have access to once you have purchased the product. If you decide it's going to be a tool for you, you'll have access to this calculator. But you would just type in, for example, your agency budget, your lowest paid wage, your number of families. Let's just throw in a number there. And let's say the number of weeks of your program. And then if you estimate that, it's going to give you some hours here. So this hour now becomes your agency's goal. So instead of communicating $7 million, we're saying our agency has a goal of 58,000 hours this year. You can decide what you do with these numbers, by the way. So for example, 58,824 hours. But we know that families are not 100% of this goal, so we communicate to our families 50,000 hours. That just seemed like more digestible. And then 3 hours per family per week. If that came up for your agency, you might think, well, that's a good starting place, but perhaps we're only going to get 50% participation or 70% participation. You know your population. Perhaps we'll communicate this goal as a little higher. So 5 hours per family per week will help us to reach our goal, then becomes our communication. Or you might decide 4, it's completely up to you. I would suggest maybe a little bit higher than what your actual goal is, so that if your participation is not 100%, then you will still, come a little bit closer to your target. But having this ability to explain to people along the way has really shifted our entire agency's approach to non-federal share and engaged families and staff in an incredibly fun way. So now everyday in kind, which is what we call it, is a household word throughout our agency, because this gets explained and these numbers get reported out on a regular basis. So for example, this report that you're looking at goes out to our center directors now every Monday. Every Monday, they're looking for this chart to see where they're landing and how their center is performing. So this means a lot to our staff, to our centers. If they're not in the top 3, or if they're not up from where they were, this is a little healthy competition going on at Sunrise Children's Foundation. The other thing is that our center directors then use this data, and they're able to then go and share that with their families. They're able to say, hey families, our annual site goal is 1,900 hours, and you guys generated, 80% of that just this month, right? So even the centers and locations are able to communicate on a regular basis how they're doing. Another way we explain it is that on Thursdays, each center gets their own individual report. And so instead of centers, it lists the families, and it says how each family is working towards their goal. And so we're communicating weekly to families through little sheets that we send home that say, hey, a little birdie told us you're doing great on your in-kind. We really appreciate it. And it has slots in the paper where you can write 3 of 5, you've done 3 of 5 hours this week, or 5 of 5 hours this week. Or we have another one, we call these birdie sheets, that say, a little birdie told us you might have in-kind to report. So far, we've gotten 1 of 5 hours. And so this is a tool that our center directors can now use to communicate all the work that's happening all the way down to the family level. Another thing you might notice here is that this formula works whether it's home-based, that's what that HB stands for. So these are all our parent educators, and these are our centers. So home-based or center-based all works in the same way, in that each home-based, each parent educator has whatever their caseload is, that equals a classroom for them. So we call it a location or a classroom. And so we really then have a goal in the same way that the centers have a goal based on how many are in their caseloads. And then what does that tie out to monthly? And then we're able to track that. The great news is we have to create this manually every Monday, Thursday, and then monthly, company-wide, we share how everybody's doing. With Kindly, you won't have to do that anymore. It will all be the push of a button. So we're very excited about how we created a level of efficiency just with this process alone, with this new system, but we're increasing that tenfold now that we have a software that will do all this heavy lifting for us. In order to make sure that you're successful, we also have not just a robust software, but a very robust implementation program. So the way that we help you get set up is incredibly comprehensive and will really look to be customized and to the unique needs of your program. So As we look into the unique needs of your program, I have another poll question for you. Are you early Head Start, or both? So Fernando's gonna pop a little poll question up there. What type of service does your agency offer? Are you Head Start, early Head Start, or both? As I mentioned here at Sunrise, we are early Head Start, and we also have center-based, home-based, and CCP partners.
Jasmine, while we wait for folks to participate, I wanted to acknowledge some of the comments and questions that came in through the Q&A while you were presenting that information. Would that be okay?
Sure, now's a great time.
Yeah, so one of the requests we had, folks are asking if they could receive a copy of the PowerPoint. Are we okay to share these slides with the participants today?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
I will make sure once the recording is up, I will also link a PDF copy of Jasmine's slides for everybody to download and print out as they wish. The second question we received, or more of a comment, I love the app. I love that the app is in English and Spanish. Is there future goals of additional languages such as French, Chinese, etc.?
You guys are gonna make me jump all the way ahead and spill out my secrets? Yes, there are. It actually is currently set up for, I wanna say 20 languages.
That's great, thank you. Those are all the questions we have so far.
Awesome. How are we doing on our poll? Oh, wow. Okay, so we've got a lot of programs who have both Head Start and early Head Start. One more question. Where are your in-kind challenges? So all of our programs are unique. Here's some of the ones we see often: tracking, of course, all the paper forms, parent engagement, staff engagement, reporting, monitoring. Where would you say your biggest in-kind challenges lie? I know for us at Sunrise, that paper tracking system was very labor intensive. So we've got a parent giving a form to a teacher, who gives it to a center director, who gives it to the education manager, who gives it to the data coordinator. And then if something's not signed off on correctly or needs to go back, it's got to backtrack all of that whole process and then come back again. I know I felt like that inefficiency was causing us to leave a lot of in-kind on the table. And I imagine you guys have some similar stories and scenarios. For some of the programs that we've talked to, now that we've kind of dug into this whole world of non-federal share, sometimes it's not, the tracking seems to be consistent actually. Sometimes different agencies have different level of engagement. Maybe their staff is really engaged, but their parents aren't, or their parents are really engaged, but their staff aren't. There are all kinds of different challenges we face, but let's see, Fernando, what are we saying? Tracking, parent engagement, yeah. What kind of fun others do we have? Did we get any through Q&A, Fernando?
We did, thank you. So one of them was, how many staff in your agency dedicate time to non-federal share? Which positions or departments are involved in your process? How does it compare from a paper-based system versus an electronic app-based? So those are questions that came in. Not sure if they're related to the poll, but there are questions that have been asked. Someone else shares staff and parent engagement, also their paper tracking, what actually counts and doesn't count for in-kind. Meeting our goals each year is our challenge. We have to always apply for a waiver. And the last one, teachers are having difficulty connecting the in-kind activities to the lesson plan, home task. They feel the time for the activities are not developmentally appropriate, such as spending 2 hours with a child that is 3 years old. And we just got the very last one. Our biggest challenge is having the in-kind meet the individual needs of the children. We will see the teachers creating overall activities that do not reflect the individual needs of the children, that are created on the needs of the children to help with the increasing skill level.
Yeah. So we have heard all of those before. There were some specific questions about our agency and how things are run there. If you don't mind, I'm gonna save those to our Q&A at the end. But what I do want to just address right now is that a lot of those challenges that were just mentioned are exactly, we're all facing some of the same challenges. It's exactly what I heard when I was in the boot camp last summer with over 2,000 agencies from all over the country who were there with their in-kind challenges. And so I understood then that this whole implementation process that we talk about here, this comprehensive implementation and setup process, was necessary to make sure that we're addressing all of your concerns, because as agencies, we have unique populations in, and what we are challenged with may not be what you're challenged with. And so we wanted to make sure that part of our process was conducting a SWOT analysis with you. And so we have now 7 specialists that have been trained in-kind. They've been through the non-federal share training through their own boot camp, and can help to map out your company's best path towards identifying your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so this is just, some example language of different things that work and don't work, or that organizations could be challenged by. But it is built into our process for training and implementation, such that you get a 10-question survey that you get to fill out in your pre-kickoff activities. And then during the kickoff call, our team will help you to work through exactly the challenges that just came up. Our agency, the staff is not involved. How do we get them on board? Or we're not meeting our goal. That was our challenge. We weren't meeting our goal annually. We were having to write for a waiver. And in addition to that, we were challenged by the paper tracking process. So during the kickoff call, you'll have a chance to debrief your SWOT analysis based on the answers you've given here, and really create a strategy that's unique for your organization. We build in 7.5 hours of TNTA to your training, your setup and implementation process, because we want you to have a comprehensive new strategy before you go live. So of course you can see that's broken up then into 4 actual training sessions. You decide who's a part of those, meaning who's on your team for this whole implementation and setup process. Our first week, we're gonna really set up your system. You are going to be able to give us CSV files to upload your staff, your center locations, your students. And so on that front end, we get you all set up with a mass data dump into the system. And that will happen at this first step. The second step, we'll discuss training. What does that need to look like for your agency? And we have an entire toolkit to help you with all of the pieces, the trainings, the emails, the flyers, the little birdie sheets that I talked about. Everything that we've developed, we've captured for you in a toolkit that you'll be able to customize and roll out in trainings for your agency and your families. The next thing we'll work through is your reporting. What does that look like for your agency? Who's involved? Who owns it? Who's going to be sending out the reports and when, so that we get the system set up and so that your team is all in place. And then we plan for your rollout. Now you'll notice, and then of course we'll go live. You'll notice that this 6 to 12 weeks is pretty broad, and that really is, again, customizable. Whether you feel like your in-kind program is really strong and robust and you don't need the 12 weeks really is a week in between. So this week in between each session gives you a chance to go back and do some of the homework that's needed to bring what you need to bring to the table for each of the training sessions. You might say, we don't need that week in between. We've already got those things in place. Then we can run through this much faster and and not delay you if that's what you choose as an agency. So because this is a process that is not just adopting a software, it is adopting a system, we want to make sure that you are set up for success from the beginning to implement and roll out this new way of collecting and interacting with non-federal shares. So we have a very robust training and implementation program. So I want to jump into a demo so you can actually see what it is that I'm talking about. What does this whole thing look like? And then we're going to dive into some questions and answers. So I'll take you over here to this page, this demo page. This actually is on our website over here at demo. So if you were interested in doing this for yourself at a later date, you can feel free to do so. But I'm already logged in, so I'm going to just click here on submit an in-kind donation. And let's see, I think I already logged out, so it times me out. So as you can see, the credentials are here. Test agency manager is the user and the password is there. So let's go ahead and log back in. The password is password. So you're logged into your dashboard. We're going to come here and submit an in-kind donation. So this is what the form looks like. It will be pre-populated with the student's name because we're logged in, as you can see here, as a manager. But when your family's logged in, they'll be logged in as themselves. And so their information will already pre-populate. They won't have to put anything here. All they do is select actually, so this is a good point to interject. Your community partners can log their time there and describe their activity. They can also come down, put how much time it took. This will be pre-populated for them as well with their information, and then you just click save and you've logged yourself an in-kind donation. It's really that simple and it's very quick. If you're an agency that provides doctor visits or transportation to doctor visits, then that counts if a parent takes their child for a well baby check or for a dental or therapist visit. Then they can select what kind of visit that was. They can indicate the mileage for that visit because the mileage counts. Or they can only count the time. So it's completely up to them. And remember, this will be pre-populated with their first and last name. And they come down here and click save. Or perhaps it's parent time with kids. And so this is the point, a point that comes up a lot, because how do we make sure that this is connected to your child's individualized learning plan? Well, what we did was we linked these activities to ELOF, to the Early Learning Outcomes Framework, and we based the activities on the different domains and activities that fall into those different domains. What you will do as an agency is you will pre-populate for little Johnny Smith that his domains, according to his individualized learning plan, are physical and social emotional. And so when they click this, those are the types of activities that will show. There are 4 domains, right? More that could be there. There could be language and literacy, there could be cognitive. And so if those are not this particular child's domains, then the activities won't even show. The other thing that's universal that will be available in this dropdown is classroom activities. So if a teacher assigns homework, then that classroom activity will be available in this drop-down menu, and they will be able to say, you know, we did the packet, we did our Monday packet. They will be able to say that there, or whatever it is that you did. If there was a particular activity in there, they can put that there, and they can say how long they did it, and have their information, of course, is there, and then they'll save that. I just want to go a little bit rogue for a second so that you have a visual for that, because what we're looking at in the demo is what's pre-populated for this particular student. What's available, though, is this is our Sunrise Children's website, and this is how our families currently log in kind. They go to this button, and what we have on this page are ideas for in-kind, and we have them in English and Spanish. And this really is the foundation that Kindly was built on. So we have this early learning outcomes framework, and we've created this piece that tells them that if the physical domain is the domain that your child is working on according to their individualized learning plan, then here are some ideas of activities you can do together that count as in-kind. And this is also what we train our staff on when we do our educate piece in pre-service. And if yours is social emotional, then here's some things you can do. The point being that it's things you already do every day that count as in-kind. And it not only counts for you, so hashtag it counts. It not only counts for you and for our agency, it counts for your baby's development. And so we give them a flyer, no matter what their domain is, if it's language or if it's cognitive, and it's all color coded. As you can see, it matches the ELOF. And this is what we send home with parents to launch our invitation to them to join us in this new way of interacting with in-kind. And so we explain to them what is in-kind, we tell them what our goal is, we tell them how many hours, that means 5 hours per family per week, what counts as in-kind, and we make sure they understand that they need to choose activities that are aligned with their child's individualized learning plan, and then we tell them how to track it. We also tell them where their center is, their center name and their classroom name, because we do this manually, we rely on them to enter this information. The great thing about Kindly is this is already pre-populated. All of this is pre-populated, so we're not getting mix-ups of parents putting the wrong classroom or the wrong center or the wrong activities, because this is already going to be pre-populated for them in this new system. But we were doing this manually, and so this was the best that we could do. And as you can see, it did a pretty good job for us. Now, if you come back over here, I want to just pop into the form, and let's just say we asked them for this information, their first name, their last name. Again, in the software we're using, it's all pre-populated, so we wouldn't have to go through this. We asked them, what are your child's domains, because they have been given that information on their little handout. We have to go through all the steps because it's just one form. So if they went to the doctor, it says yes. If they didn't, it says no. Did they volunteer in the program? Right, so we go through a lot of steps just to get to, if they didn't volunteer, they say no, and those questions don't even appear. So do you have everyday in-kind to submit? And so here is a listing of the most popular activities in the main 4 domains that could come up. So did you sing songs together, narrate and practice self-help skills, playtime, name feelings, spaces, and emotions, arts and crafts time, counting, naming, reading together, pretend play together, completing home activity packets. And so these are all of the things that are available in the Kindly system that I wanted you to be able to see that are pre-populated. As you can see, it also lists which domains they are connected to. So when you come over to this form, and we've pre-populated this drop-down list, it's based on the domain that will be assigned to this particular child so that it can be linked to their individualized learning plan, and then the in-kind counts. I heard that question come up a little bit earlier, so I wanted you to see that. Now, if you go back to my dashboard, I'm going to be able to look at agency administrator reports, and I'm going to be able to see at a glance, I've got the title of the type of in-kind record, the region, the agency, the location, the activity type, who authored it. This will be who approved it, because there will be another step in there once it's approved that this says it was approved, and because that is part of the regulation and the law that the submission has to be approved. And then, and of course you can understand why, exactly to somebody's point earlier, when a parent says we did reading for 2 hours for a 3-year-old, we know we're not going to approve that. So there has to be that extra level of scrutiny as we go through this process of being able to make sure we can accept the time that has been submitted. And then the date, the minutes, for whom the submission is for. You will then be able to download that report in a CSV file. And then in our future generations of the system, you will have actual graphs and charts that you'll be able to download as well. We're looking at that for version 2. Right now we are in version 1. We hope to have version 2. Updates will be being made all the time. We're shooting version 2 for December. And then we've got version 3 that will be our full-fledged version that will come out for next school year when licenses are full price. You could also look at results reports by class. You could look at reports by family. You could look at all the participants. So this dashboard really gives the agency administrator a bird's eye view of what's going on in the program at any given time. Let's see, so we'll pop back over here. So we looked at features, we looked at how to submit. Oh, we didn't look at features, so let's look at features. This is on our website, kindlyhub.com. And this is just a listing of the features that are possible for what the system can do in terms of your non-federal share process. So there's a parent portal and dashboard that of course has a login and profile for each student where they can really track very easily according to their own students' individualized learning plans. And then part of our version for next year is that they will be able to even upload photos to showcase their family engagement, and that we can really increase the social nature of the hub that you're creating for your families. There's live data tracking and reporting, where you can view aggregated and disaggregated data, where you will have templates that you can share with your agency and families on a regular basis, and a very seamless dashboard that will keep your outcomes front and center. I always tell my team, they laugh at me now, we're here in Las Vegas, and I always say, you know, when I go to our spreadsheet, right now we're using a spreadsheet. When I go to my spreadsheet and I look at the totals, I feel like I have a slot machine on my desk that never loses, because every time I go there, that number is just going up and up in real time, which is very exciting. And then of course, finally, we will have an entire toolkit for you that has presentations for trainings, for volunteers, for staff, for families, handouts, step-by-step implementation plans, timelines for rollout, and of course, best practice tips, because we have learned a great deal going through this process that we would love to share. So all of that will be available as well. So I think that is it in terms of the system, in terms of just some tips and strategies that you can hopefully use to overcome some of your in-kind challenges, whether or not you choose to do that via Kindly or not. And so at this point, I'll just open it up for questions.
Thank you, Jasmine. We did receive a few questions and comments through the Q&A, so let me read through those in the order we received them. So the first one asks, can the family log several days at once? For instance, date of activities, select several dates in specific increments. It's the first question.
The answer to that question is not at this time. Right now, the way that the system is set up is such that they are going to only log one donation at a time, because they're all unique. They're unique in terms of what they've done. They're unique in terms of the activity. They would be unique in terms of the time spent. So it is not possible at this particular time to bulk upload a time donation. That's not to say that if we find that through this beta test, maybe they read every day for 10 minutes, and there could be some case scenarios where that happens. That's the beauty of our beta test. So I will just pop over here and answer. I'm presuming there could be some questions about the beta test. Right now, beta test licenses are 2020 for 2020. That's our introductory rate, and that's really almost a third of the cost of what it will when the licenses are full price. And we've deeply discounted it because this first year really is about helping us as much as we're attempting to be a solution for you. So in this beta test year, we are going to be looking to see what are some of the things that come up for programs, and we will very quickly then be able to update the system and have it fully ready for next school year when the licenses are full price. For example, we did a presentation about 2 weeks ago, and the agency said that the population they served was 100% Spanish speaking, and so they needed a system that was in Spanish. So in the last 2 weeks, we have created this system so that you can now translate to any one of these languages, the site and the form for parents. That's over 50 or so languages, but let's just go with Spanish, huh? So now our site is translated to Spanish. And what that also does is that's our demo. Now our demo's in Spanish. So log in, and your in-kind form is now translated to Spanish. So we're very agile in that we have an incredible team that really is working around the clock, because we have a team here in the States, and then while we're asleep, India's working and vice versa. So we can respond very quickly to needs that come up as people are discovering how to get the best out of this particular tool for themselves. And so that was one that just came up 2 weeks ago, and now not only do we have Spanish, but we have probably almost any other language that you can think of already built into our system. Long answer to that question.
Thank you. We have a few questions, so I want to make sure I address them all. So the next question is kindly available for parents through a mobile app on their smartphones. Depending on demographics, parents may not have internet or computer access at home, but might have a smartphone.
Yes, absolutely. So right now, Kindly is a mobilely responsive website. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the actual homepage. This is where families would log in, and they would say, here, I'm a volunteer. They click there to log their hours, and there's your form, right? So they can do this from their phone, their tablet, or their computer. By next school year, we will actually have the app for iOS and Android as well. So part of that license price being full price as of next year is because we'll have the full-fledged system up and running by then. Right now, we are just on a mobile responsive website, but that does mean that families are able to access it on their phone.
Great, thank you. Next question, can we customize for our own agency the activities?
Right now, the activities are static. We've gotten that question before, and so one of the things I didn't get to mention was we've had this program vetted by Office of Head Start. Martha Marmoleo came out and did 2 monitorings to see the system, to make sure that it's doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. It was really per her suggestion that we keep the domains and the activities broad, so that, let's just say, our activities don't necessarily match your curriculum, but you're able to select that you sent home an activity packet and that's what they're reporting on, or that they're reading a book and that's what they're reporting on. It's in the description where they can then customize and say exactly what it is that they did in the description when they make the submission. So as of right now, we're going to beta test and pilot based on ELOF and the 4 domains that apply to actual activities that parents and families can do together. If throughout the course of this beta test, we learn that it really will help to have an ability to customize, my thought is we're going to build out a module that can do that, that would perhaps be outside of the normal license price. So perhaps that will be an additional module. But for right now, we are basing it on ELOF and the domains, and finding that most agencies will be able to capture what they're doing in those domains or in the activity packet option.
Great. So next question, does the volunteer time only go to 30 minutes?
No. So this time together is whatever they make it. So they could put 90 minutes, they could put 300 minutes. You probably want to flag that if they did, but maybe they came to volunteer in the classroom and it was an event that was a day long or something like that. So right now, this only works in minutes, and they would just put the number of minutes that they did, whatever they did.
Awesome. So how does this program capture the parent's signature? Is there a separate form included?
So for, according to the Early Head Start regulations, timekeeping that is acceptable and legal needs to be done in the same way that you would collect time for an employee. So for example, in your time tracking system, a submission or a name box where they put their name in the form counts as a signature, and it's the same for this particular software. And the same for the sign off. When the supervisor goes in and approves the time, that counts as their signature too. And that is acceptable. We asked the very same question of Martha Marmaleo when she was here for her visit. And so we are covered by the documentation of them putting their name in the system.
I'm not sure if this is tied into the previous question, but what is the max amount of time a family can spend per activity?
So right here, we can put however many minutes that we decide. The system has no limitation. Now, of course, the family you would want to have developmentally appropriate times that are placed in there, but in terms of what the system can allow, there's no limitation.
So next question, we receive outside agency donations from a variety of agencies, many which are unknown until they arrive. Can these be included throughout the year beyond setup?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll actually show you how to import and bulk upload agencies or families into your system throughout the year.
Next question, can this program accommodate for parents that have certain limitations such as inability to read, text to speak option perhaps?
Actually, that's really great that you asked. We just partnered with a vendor that is going to be adding a text-to-speak option to the software. We are hoping that we have that available for next year.
If our agency requires our in-kind information to have a specific field, would you be able to customize it?
It would depend. We'd have to talk about that and see. So right now, the licenses fees are for what you see in the system. If there are customizations that are required, there would probably be a cost associated with that, unless it's a customization that we think that could apply to everybody who used the software and we just made it a global update. So we would just need to talk about it and see what it is.
Is the app free of cost?
No. So the license fee that I just shared earlier, you can find on the Get Kindly page. I would love to, but software development is quite an expensive business that I just learned about. So our introductory license fee is $20.20 in the year 2020. That gives you a full year of access to our system. The license and setup fee is $2,500, but Region 9 programs receive a $500 discount if you click on this link on our Get Kindly page. So next year, you also have a snapshot of when the software is fully up and running, how much the licenses cost will be based on the number of slots in your program. Our offer is that people who join our beta test this year will have a discount on their license for next year. Because, we really appreciate you joining us at this point in our life cycle of just getting up and running. So This is what's included in your license fee. You will have a dedicated concierge / trainer who will work with you every step of the way. You have the full feature dashboard, our formula for success that I was able to give you a high level perspective on today, but we'll really work through the details on that with you. There's no cap on how much you can raise. You will get, of course, technical assistance through the process, unlimited records, storage, staff, and volunteers. So there are no per user fees. There's no limitations. The license fee that you pay covers your storage in the cloud and as much of the system as you need to use. So that's what how we thought this is the easiest way to design a software, so that there's not any seats, that number of seats you have to worry about. Oftentimes you have to buy licenses for a certain number of seats only or a certain number of users only. And we thought we just want to make it simple. So there are no fees beyond your license fee, and you get all of the tools you need to be successful.
How many staff in your agency dedicate time to non-federal share? Which positions or departments are involved in your process? How does it compare from a paper-based system versus an electronic app-based?
So we say at Sunrise that in-kind is everyone's responsibility. So we involve everybody in in-kind. We actually also have an in-kind committee with staff from every level, from executive team all the way to line staff, that meet monthly about in-kind and how it's going on every level. So we have really looked to engage everybody in the process, because we can all work towards in-kind, whether you're in fiscal, whether you're in programs, whether you're in health, or in a center. We know that there's something that each of us can do in our own unique roles to help contribute to this number. So we've made it a point to get everybody to the table on a pretty regular basis. So that in-kind committee has 14 to, I want to say 18 or so people that are at that meeting monthly. And again, as we are now shifting the way that we looked at in-kind throughout our agency, historically, it's now a point of conversation in every team meeting at least once a month as well.
Perfect. And the last question we received, can the approver be able to change the initial reporting done by the parents?
No, they will have to send it back and let the parents change it. And the audit trail will show that, where it went and where it came from, what happened to it, and where it went after that. We absolutely would compromise the integrity of the data if staff were able to manipulate it after it's been submitted.
Great. Those are all the questions we received. Thank you, everybody who took the time to ask those questions to Jasmine. Now, I just want to thank you, Jasmine, again for your time and all your knowledge. This was a great, informative presentation. Just want to remind everybody that this session was recorded and it will be up on our website for on-demand consumption within 48 hours, as well as a copy of the slides that Jasmine used today. Now, Jasmine, would you mind putting your email again on screen in case anybody who wanted to ask the question did not get a chance to? So feel free to send an email to Jasmine at the address shown on the screen, as well as feel free to contact us here at the Region 9 Head Start Association, and we'll be more than happy to redirect any questions you have regarding the session, regarding the product, to Jasmine. And once again, thanks everybody for taking the time today, and thank you, Jasmine, for the wonderful presentation.
Wonderful. And I just want to say thank you all for joining us today, and thanks Region 9 for the opportunity to share what we've learned, and of course the opportunity for people to help get kindly launched and kicked off. The Nevada Head Start Association was critical in that as well, so we appreciate your support, and of course Sunrise for all of the support that they've been in helping get this new initiative up and running. So we're thrilled to be innovating out of Region 9, out of Nevada, and out of Early Head Start, and we hope that you'll help and join us along the way to get this initiative up and running. But not only for us, I think we have a big opportunity in front of us to really increase parent engagement and outcomes for our families in a way that will serve our agencies as well. So I feel like it's a win-win, and I hope to hear from those of you who are interested in the beta test soon. We have 22 slots available for the beta test. And after that, then we're looking for opportunities starting next year.
Excellent. Thanks again, Jasmine, and thanks everybody. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.